Yeah. We bop and pretty hot and as happy as I can be. Boom, 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 and pretty zoom. Love is sweet, love is grand, works one.
Here's the thing, Daniel. Today's episode is going to be a bit different of an episode.
Yeah, because I'm not in it.
Well, you're right here.
Oh.
But Spicoli Joe and I are planning to go to Andalusia Whiskey Company. We have to wake up very early in the morning. You're teaching a class.
I'm busy teaching. I'm really sorry to miss this one because...
Yeah. Why are Spicoli Joe and I taking a truckload of barley, specifically Maris Otter, to Andalusia Whiskey Company?
Because the magnificent bastards in the Patreon voted that we would do a 50% peated Maris Otter.
Yes.
And Ty at Andalusia, they do their own peated malts.
Yes.
And he agreed to do ours for us instead of us trying to figure that out.
I'm teaching the people. Pour me the day. You keep not pouring the whiskey.
That's because you're leaving.
How much are we loading up?
10 bags.
All right. Joe and I made it to Andalusia Whiskey Company, and it's super early in the morning. Ty is over here getting stuff dialed in for his day, and then we're gonna jump into the peating of our barley. So what's the first step of the process? What are we doing right now?
We're gonna get some coals going. This is just gonna help us get our peat fire started.
All right.
Yeah, we're not actually cooking or smoking with these. Peat will burn, but it's not something you can just put a match to immediately. So getting a little coal bed down first is gonna be our first step.
So once these coals are going, then...
Yep, we'll throw them in the firebox.
Oh, firebox, okay.
Kind of burned down, or they're just kind of an ember at that point. We'll throw our peat on and get our peat fire going.
Oh, cool.
Let's check out our peat.
This is what peat comes in.
Yeah, a box from Amazon. So that's a peat brick. So it's rather inert. You know, not much of a smell.
Yeah, not much of a smell at all.
But when we burn it, you guys
See
know
that?
about this.
Looks like dirt. Yeah, it just looks like dried bricks of dirt.
If you kind of look closer in the end, you'll see roots still there.
Yeah.
Definitely not fully decomposed. You're gonna get a lot of plant material and roots, so it definitely will burn.
I think we should find out what peat tastes like.
I think you should.
No, we should.
The word was we. I would have to look up exactly what's in peat.
Everything's in peat. It literally tastes like nothing.
Yeah. So
Like cardboard would have more flavor.
bland.
Yeah, there's nothing there. All right, what's next?
All right, we will unload some grain that we smoked yesterday. This was some grain that we did for a batch of Striker.
One of your whiskeys?
Yep, Striker is a whiskey that is a single malt whiskey. It had some specialty grains like some Munich and some chocolate malt. Also some of our house smoked malt that we do with mostly oak, a little bit of applewood, a little bit of mesquite wood. The fruit wood will vary sometimes. There's a peach orchard down the road. Sometimes we'll use some of that. See, we do get a nice little color change out of it.
Oh yeah, it's just on the top.
Pretty much just the surface exposure. You're not getting a lot of draw through, especially in just a 24-hour smoke.
And then is the next step right here?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just kind of take a couple bags of grain out, stack 2 or 3 standing up right there, maybe.
So Joe and I are unloading the barley that the whiskey tribe voted on that we're going to use at the Crowded Barrel Whiskey Company. I guess you're just cutting open the bags and you're spreading them out on the trays?
That's it, yep.
Okay.
So now I'm going to spread out the grain. We're going to get, an even bed. We want to make sure you get a lot of surface area. And then by giving it kind of a nice rough surface, it gives it even kind of more surface exposure. We're gonna do a little spray down. We're gonna wet the malt.
Okay, so we're gonna moisten it so whenever that smoke is going through the air, the moisture helps the barley grab that smoke and pull it in?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Some grains are better for smoking than others. That's one reason why corn is not very good for smoking.
Yeah.
It has a nice shiny surface to it, and it doesn't really, not much sticks to it.
Yeah.
So barley's gonna be rough, it has a husk on it, it's got a lot of porous surfaces, and so it's got places for kind of the oily smoke to grab onto and to hide and to stay.
Right on. Checking on that. It is looking good.
Pure Texas rainwater, nothing fancy.
And you just mist it down?
Yeah, I don't want to really dip the grain into water. We've tried that, and some people might have success with that.
Yeah.
We found that the grain never fully dried back out during the smoking process. Our smoking process is not hot. Typically it's around 80 or 90 degrees since we have a separate firebox.
Yeah.
That's important because you don't want to deactivate any of your enzymes in your malt, especially if this is going to be a decent percentage of your malt bill. If you don't care about enzymes, it may not matter. All right, we'll put 1 quart of water on this amount of grain. We found that's a good amount to attract enough smoke, but yet still the grain will be dry when we're done. If it's still wet, it'll be what's called mealy, and it won't really mill very well. Instead of cracking open, it'll just kind of smash as it goes through the mill. All right, we're gonna get the ash from yesterday's fire out. All right, so now coals are going in.
Okay.
They're mostly burned down to embers. And then we'll build just a little stack with our peat logs. It's just a beautiful, oily, rich smoke. Very earthy and complex.
So you've worked with this peat before?
We have, yep. This is probably the most common one we use. This operation here allows us a lot of flexibility, not only within varieties of peat, but then we're talking about all kinds of different wood or herbs, smoked with rosemary or spices or anything like that.
Coming through here, and then we're starting to get the first bits of smoke. That, oh yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It smells amazing. That smokiness smell, it shifted.
Yeah.
The moment this started coming through here.
Completely different character of smoke.
Yeah.
So I think we're ready to go ahead and shut it up. So say night night to our grain. We'll see you in 24 hours.
Okay, so we are in the tasting room of Andalusia Whiskey Company. Man, I'm super jealous of the bar. Look at this. They got fancy leather couches. They got a second floor. You got a library? Man, they got a library.
We've got the longest mesquite bar in Texas. It is 100% mesquite that my father-in-law built.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, finished with a food-grade orange oil.
All right, so these are your lines right here?
So, you know, we're really sticking with malt whiskey. We've got a white whiskey. We've got an Irish-style whiskey, which is going to be our triple distilled. We have a peated single malt, really sticking with classic Scotch tradition.
That's this one?
That's Revenant Oak. And then Striker is our kind of our fun craft whiskey. We lovingly call our Texas Scotch. Everything we do is 100 proof, gentlemen. So I'd recommend giving it a nose and maybe a small taste at its current proof. But this whiskey begs for a little bit of water.
Very, very good. I like that.
All right, so like I mentioned, we're one of the few distilleries in the world to be 100% rainwater. So with every inch of rain that we get, you get 1,000 bottles of Andalusia whiskey. Particulate filter in case there's any dirt or sand or anything.
Yeah.
And then it has a carbon filter in case there's any pollutants from the air.
Yeah.
And then it has a UV sterilizer in case there's any biological contaminants. It's just beautiful water for us to use.
Okay, so your copper pot still.
This was made by a fine southern gentleman deep in the woods of Arkansas.
Really?
Has a long history, a family history of still making. I think he's the first legal one doing it probably. And this was a perfect still for us. We want simplicity. We don't want bells and whistles and columns and bubble trays and all that. They're great for certain whiskeys.
Yeah.
But for something full flavored, we want a very simple still.
Checking in, see how we're doing. See if we can see it through the smoke for just a moment. There we go. Nice. This has all been super impressive.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you for being so generous with your time. If people want to find out more about Andalusia, where can they go? What's the whole thing?
So Andalusia is a tasting room on Highway 281, north of San Antonio and west of Austin. Or we're available at most Specs and Total Wine stores in the state of Texas.
Any website worth mentioning?
AndalusiaWhiskey.com.
All right, thank you, sir.
Cool, thanks so much, it's been my pleasure.
I'm trying to get Emma prepared to have to fire people emotionally.
Can she fire me?
Yeah.
I just want to, I've always been curious about these.
What about them?
In my head, I've always called them tenderloins. And I want to judge tenderloins on their suitability for weapons or sporting equipment.
So on your way back from lunch, stop at HEV and buy another bag of limes.
Totally gonna do that. We're gonna see if a bartenderloin makes a good baseball bat.
This is a little close for comfort.
No, you're good. We have to get in frame.
Yeah, that's because that's the most important.
I totally didn't zoom in. So here's where sportsmanship and skill, the fidelity of my musculature, transferred into my swing. This isn't a solid object, so I have to make sure I get this going with enough force to become straight and connect with the line.
Here we go.
Oh! I hit his car!
You hit my car!
Oh my god! Dude, that was a foul, I'll give you that. Right there.